Halo. As some would say, it's a pretty good series. Some people really like for multiplayer, which is cool, or Firefly, which is also cool, and some crazy people who use your Forge and Theatre mode, which are kinda cool, but too much for me. But me, I really love the campaigns of these games, and I wanted to talk about them. So I decided to give my thoughts on each level and rank them. That'll be a very long video, so I'll split this up into multiple parts covering each Halo game separately. This video will rank all the levels from the first Halo, and some would say the best Halo. I wouldn't, but some would say it is. We'll be covering in this video Halo Combat Evolved. Please enjoy my idiotic ramblings on a game from 2001 that was also re-released in 2011, and I guess also re-released in 2015, which is the version I'm playing. Enjoy! The first level of the game, and really the first level of all Halo, is the Pearl of Autumn. And you know what, it starts really well with, the little run to the bridge, dodging the explosions and such. It's still quite exciting even after multiple playthroughs. I always like watching the science guy just getting annihilated by that door explosion. It's very satisfying for some reason, probably just because of how long the tutorial takes. Fun fact, actually, the guy you see get destroyed murdered by elites right at the beginning got a whole chapter in the book, The Flood, for some reason. I don't know why, but he dies like holding a picture of like his family or something. It's kind of odd. But anyway, the pace continues with some good fights in the cafeteria, at least I think it's cafeteria, and when just going for the ship. The gunplay is really fun and tight. All the fights seem to have some sort of purpose and are just fun. They're just laid out very well. I also like how you can go out your way to pick up overshields, but I do wish there was a bit more to find by looking around, like a shotgun or something. Because currently in the level there's only about 4 weapons, 4 or 5, so it'd be nice to have a bit more variety in multiple playthroughs. There's also a weird bit where an explosion happens that looks like it's supposed to kill Ellie, but it doesn't, and it just looks very odd. I always notice this every single time I play. But the real thing that lets it slow down a little bit is the tunnel section, right like about the middle of the level. It's so easy to get lost here, and the whole map just starts to blend together. You can't really distinguish what's happening, and especially I always find it difficult to distinguish what the actual end of the level is. It just sometimes feels like I'm just wandering around, and then the level just ends. Which is very bizarre because I've played this level many a time. Also, I hate this goddamn bit with the stairs where the elites are above you. I don't know why exactly. I just hate this. Overall, I'll give this level a B tier. It's good, it serves its purpose very well, but I feel like it's just been overclassed by other levels since it's been released. The next level, Halo, starts really well as well. You start in the lifeboat from the previous level with everyone else dead. You're meant to assume they all died from impact, but I personally believe headcanon that everyone just died because Chief didn't wear his seatbelt, so he just ping-ponged about the ship, crushing everyone. But anyway, the first thing you notice about this level is just how beautiful it is. Skybox looks really nice with the Halo ring in the background, and the whole level being so wide open really gives a great feeling to explore in this ring world. It still achieves that impact even after all this time. This is also the first level with the Warhawk, it's its introduction, and it's just really fun to drive, especially the Marines in the Gunner Sea as well. You always give a bit of emotion to it. That's very cool. Fortunately, when I was recording this footage, I immediately flipped the Warhawk on a rock, and the Gunner just ran away and got back on the Pelican. It's very sad. I guess that Gunner just did not trust my driving skills. But this level is essentially 4 firefights connected by Warhawk drives, which is a bit of an odd structure to a Halo level. The close comparison really is actually New Alexandria from Reach, as bizarre as that sounds. This structure, it's fine, but the problem is that only one of the firefights is really fun, being the first one. The other 3 just have too much stuff blocking sidelines, which means that most of the time I'm just looking for the last few enemies, which can take quite a while. However, as I said before, I really think the aesthetic and the Warhog do save this level very significantly. So I'm actually going to put this B tier right behind the Pill of Autumn. Ooh, this level. This infamous level. Firstly, Truth Exiliation, very cool name. Secondly, this level can be best described as 5 minutes of good to even grey, followed by 10 minutes of air, and then followed by the keys bar, where I wish I could just leave him there to die. The sniping section at the beginning is really fun. I'm pretty consistent with the enemy AI noting ya. It seems almost random. You can especially notice at the first part. But when you first go up that grav lift, it all changes. The first few rooms are fine, but the corridors, the goddamn corridors connecting them, are just awful. They just all look the same, and have very similar fights in them as well. There's barely any cover, or even variation between these, so the fights here are aggravatingly dull. But that's not the worst part of the level. Shockingly, Captain Motherfucking Keys is such a goddamn moron when escorting him, and it's so aggravating. He just wanders into fire without a care in the world, and you have to go back to the next checkpoint and hear Cortana say, "We've already lost without him." No, we haven't, Cortana. Keys is an idiot who I'm glad is dead. Spoiler. Anyway, fuck Keys. C tier. Finally, a fucking banger of a level. I don't think I really need to explain to you why this level is so good, but I'll try a little bit. This level is just so exciting all the goddamn way through. From the final beaches where you fellow Marines just cutting down the Covenant, the Warhog rides, which again, like I said in Halo, bit very fun the whole time. The Hunter fights, which there are a lot of, but they're all so different, and it's very exciting. And of course, fighting for the levels, getting the map, then fighting your way back up with a Zilla fight too. Non-stop exciting action all the way through. Every fight in this level is fun. I can't think of a single one where I'd even cut out. The lowest strongest suit, it's how open it is. It's even more open than Halo, really. You could do the normal route, where you go to the map, find locked door that the Zilla hides behind, go to another building to unlock the door, then return to the map building. That's still fun, because the fight's really good, but I like how you can just go to unlock the door first by simply going the other way. That's brilliant. It's brilliant. Or you could be a total Chad, like me, and just drive your Warhog through the door before it can even close, which is my preferred method. I could gush about this level for honestly ages, but I think I'll stop there. This level is absolutely a top 5 level from all of Halo. Absolutely the strongest part of this game. Assault on the control room, it has many flaws. Its main issue is just the repetition, with many rooms just being copy and pasted the whole time. You'll see so many of the same elevators, bridges, and it's goddamn awful circle rooms that just litter the map. They might have been fun the first time, barely, but they get aggravating at the 5th. Though I don't think the circle rooms are very fun anyway, to be honest. All this repetition makes the level feel bloated and overly long. Anyway, I'm going to put this level in A tier. Now why would I do that? Well, I don't really know. And it's a little hard to explain. When I was first thinking of all the levels to do before even filming them, this one stood out as one that would be really low. But as I played it, it's so fun for some reason. Sure, I think the main thing that's fun is the vehicle sections. It's the only level in the game you have access to a Scorpion tank, and it really benefits this level. Barreling through the outside sections in a tank is really fun, and oddly a stark contrast to the slower inside sections. The bridges are also still kind of fun, despite being repetitive. The inside sections are bad, the circle rooms especially, but I do think the outside sections make up for it so much. It's very odd. It's very odd, honestly. There's also a glitch where you can run Mass Chief over with a Banshee in the final cutscene. So I immediately rated it to an A tier, no question. 343 Guilty Spark is a very interesting level that I don't think has ever been replicated in any other Halo game following. The level starts with the objective to find what happened to Keys, that prick. You drop into a swamp and you immediately realise something is wrong. There's a crashed pelican immediately to your left with no sign of the crew. You venture into the swamp more and find a crashed spirit. You fight some frazzled jackals and grunts, but no elites. You see and hear human gunfire and fleeing grunts from a metal structure. You can also see the shadowy figures that watch you the whole time. It's where the level gets even greater, when you enter the metal structure. The lack of music, the blood-stained corridors, the empty but clearly battle-torn rooms, and the lone crazy marine just completes its utter chilling atmosphere. This is really incredible, especially for a game made in 2001, with, when looking back at the graphics, it looked very goofy. And just no other Halo level has ever quite managed to match this atmosphere of dread. But the standout part is just the introduction of the Flood. What can I say that just hasn't been said before? It's just masterful. It's perfectly done. The cutscene where, you're just watching Jenkins' headcam and he's just so chilling the whole time, and you see Keys get killed, which is very happy, but then you see Son Johnson might be killed, that's very not happy. Then finally you get that first encounter where they just flood into the room one by one. Well, not one by one, it's just flooding like a wave. Like a flood. I guess that's where the name comes from. And then finally the run through the facility is incredible. It's just, running back through it, it's the only time in the game where reusing rooms, it actually works. It works really well and it really benefits from it. It just helps create the feeling that you're just in a nightmare and there's no way to go out. When you finally get that elevator and it goes down, it's just amazing. However, when you finally get out of the facility, second find the swamp, it's not great. It just isn't anything really. You're just kind of running through the swamp. You barely see him. I guess it's a bit creepy, but you kind of just run, and you don't. It's just not as effective as it was when you just trapped in that metal structure. Otherwise, there just really isn't much wrong with this level, and honestly, that's barely a nitpick really. But I should point out, because this is it's a very big debate. There's a difference between the original and the anniversary. Some say that the remaster makes things too bright, which ruins the atmosphere. There's also some less blood, and I think that's pretty much it. But I pretty much disagree, because lighting isn't the only thing that sells the atmosphere here. And lighting level is still comparatively darker than other levels. This just helps you actually see. And I think that's better in some aspects. I think they could have toned it down a little bit. But it doesn't ruin the level in any way. It really doesn't to me. But maybe that's because I played Anniversary first. Who knows? Anyway, the only problem I have with the remaster is that they don't have the dripping flood bits. It's a very odd complaint, but it's just not there, and it's very odd. But yeah, again, that's a very, very minor complaint. All in all, I give this level an S ranking. It's perfect. It really is. While I don't completely despise the library like others, I'm still not quite a big fan of this level. I do think the Flood are pretty fun to fight due to their unique gameplay and weapons, which means that level comprising of only Flood isn't really a turn off for me. I also don't think the difficulty level is a problem either. I think it's actually pretty fair, and the only absolutely bullshit parts are the goddamn rocket flood, which should never have happened. Now, the biggest problem I have with this level is its repetition. The rooms look identical for the whole level, and the aesthetic in general is dull. it kind of works the same way as Guilty Spark, but I think what hurts it is that it just doesn't look great anyway. It just looks dull. Anyway, the weapon sandbox is also at its absolute worst here, and it really just continues to be bad throughout the rest of the game. Despite having access to every weapon except a sniper rifle, you will always carry a shotgun and a plasma rifle every time you play this level. It's my biggest issue, and it's my biggest issue with the levels coming up as well. There's absolutely no reason to ever switch from these two guns. Ammo is plentiful, and these two guns will carry you through every encounter in the level. Like I said, it's a problem in the rest of the levels too, but I want to point out especially here because it's really bad here. Because there's no vehicles to fight, there's no Covenant, so it really hurts. Like there's literally no reason to ever pick up a pistol on this level. You're putting yourself at a disadvantage. What I think would have been cool in this level is to actually drain resources. For example, you still have a shotgun and just blow through waves of the flood, but it quickly runs out of ammo, so you have to switch to something else. By end level, you're just stuck in needlers and plasma pistols while the flood grows stronger. This would have made the level more interesting and would have fixed really my problem with the weapon sandbox. However, as the level currently stands, I'm going to place it in D tier. It's long, it's boring, it's pretty hard, there's a lot of bullshit parts, and the weapon sandbox is so goddamn slim. D tier. So 2 Betrayals it's a very similar to Assault on the Control Room. Annoyingly so. And if you recall where I placed that, I placed it in A tier. So surely 2 Betrayals is in A tier, then why? No. It's in F tier. Why would I put it in F tier, you ask? So what the problem is that it has the exact same repetition issues as Attack on the Control Room. But even worse, as it's repeated the repetition from Attack the Control Room. So this shit is being repeated twice as much, and you remember how much I hated some of the parts of Attack the Control Room, specifically the goddamn circle rooms, which are still in this level, and also the bridge parts, which I sort of liked in Attack the Control Room, aren't fun in this part. They're because you have to fight like 3 bridges at the same time, and it's so annoying. But the thing that really hurts this level is that this time there's no bloody tank. Yes, there's Banshee sections, but those are ridiculously short, and the Banshee is sadly just not as fun as it is in later games. It doesn't even have a boost. So not having a tank in this level, it's honestly a deal breaker. It really is. It just completely destroys all the pace in the level. It just feels like a few areas barely connected to each other, as it clearly weren't designed to flow this way. But to give some credit to this level, the scale of it's pretty cool. Seeing the Covenant Flood battle over the canyon's pretty damn cool. But this is done way better in later games, especially Halo 3's a Covenant mission. Although I will say that the fight between the Covenant and the Flood, like that is really unique to this level. But really, that's it. That's all the credit I can give this level. I hate it. I hate it with all my heart. Keys. The level named after the worst person. So Keys has the problem the library has, rolled in with the problems Truth and Reconciliation has. Too long, too repetitive, gun variation, etc. Like Truth and Reconciliation, I find the fights in the canyon to be pretty interesting, especially much more interesting than the fight on the ship, due to both looking unique, with like the green liquid just around it. It gives off this pretty cool feeling. And it just also has pretty like smart enemy placements, at least smarter than the ones on the ship. This section also portrays the war between the Covenant and the Flood much better, in my opinion, as the more enemies and the Flood are constantly advancing instead of just popping out of random spots. The section is honestly the same grade as the level, and why I would consider it to be a tier better than 2 Betrayals. but honestly the biggest problem is that this level is just forgettable, with barely anything unique happening here. There is no reason to ever replay this level unless you want to see Master Chief die in a cutscene. E tier. So the last 3 levels were duds, but luckily the final level, the Moor, brings it back with a good level again. This level again brings us to the familiar ground by reusing the Pillar of Autumn, but this level accomplishes more than the other redos. It's because every encounter in this level is vastly different to those on the first level, so it doesn't feel like the same fights in the same rooms. This level really uses all the enemy types introduced thus far to the most potential, except for the jackals, which are absent, but that's fine, because fuck the jackals. The aesthetic is different too, with some weathered down parts, especially in the beginning, and the dimming down the lights really makes it differentiate itself from the first level. This level also manages to flow much better as well. I just really like how it flows. The biggest negative of this level is definitely the engine room. God, I hate this part. Everything is shooting you, it's very easy to fall off to the bottom, and 343 goddamn guilty spark is just humming along the whole time. This part sucks, and he knocks it down quite a few pegs. Then you get into the elevator. No fun fact, the elite that you see here was actually being Hunting Chief the whole game, as shown in Halo the Flood. He was very bad at it. But I have to talk about the standout of this level, which is the Warhog one. It's perfect. It's a perfect way to end the game. It's fast, it's exciting, and it has great music. It really encapsulates why the Halo campaigns are so damn good. You can even talk to a grunt. While I don't think this one is as good as the Halo 3 version, mostly because it's just a lot like the same room. It just doesn't really look as interesting, because not really. It just doesn't really look as interesting, really. But I can't deny how amazing this is, and I do respect it for being the first Warhog one. However, this level does still have flaws, like the engine room, so I'm just gonna give the Moor a spot in the B tier. Better than Pillar of Autumn, but still in the B tier. And there we have it. All the levels from Halo Combat Evolved, all ranked. And here's what the tier list currently looks like. I will say, even though I was harsh on some of these levels, especially the later ones, I do want to say that I do bloody love this game. It's so good. It's such a good game. But did you agree with my rankings? Please tell me in the comments below. And give this video a like if you liked it. Just etiquette, This is my first time actually trying to make a proper scripted video like this, so honestly I'd love any feedback, good or bad. Anyway, next time we'll be looking at Halo 2, so please stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching.
Halo, it's finished.
No, I think we're just getting started.